Yeah.
No, I do not want to upgrade. I will, though. Today's the 13th, isn't it? Hot dog. Yep, today is the 13th, and we today will be we're going to multiply complex numbers. We will. That'll be next week, and you will not enjoy it one bit. Unless you're a math person. Like, you know who you are. Like, you've already figured out by this point in your life, if math does certain good things, like if it's just kind of your groove, you'll really like it because it's really mathy and pretty hardcore. But multiplying is kind of where we start the transition from yesterday's really easy stuff to the harder stuff. So multiplying. So yesterday, when we added and subtracted complex numbers, we treated I just like a variable. You probably didn't think of it that way, but at the end of the day, really, we never at any point in yesterday's lesson had to acknowledge that I is a number. You know, I isn't a letter, I is a number. It's the square root of -1. And at no point when we're adding and subtracting do we even care. We just combine it like terms and move on our way. That all changes now. So when we multiply complex numbers, what we're going to find is along the way, we're going to be relying on one huge fact. And it is this, that I times another I will equal I squared. And we know from a previous lesson several days ago that I squared is something cool. What is it? It's -1. And that's going to be a critical component to today's learning. In fact, if you can get your head around that and not let that leave your brain, then you'll be quicker on the understanding than someone else. So this fact right here, let me clean this up for you. I should have just put a box around it. That the fact that I squared is equal to -1 is going to get us through the next week or so, or at least like 3 or 4 days. So good. All right. So having said that, when you multiply complex numbers, generally speaking, it's going to look something like this. So you're going to have a complex number like that, and you're going to multiply it by another complex number like this. This is not the same level of simplicity as yesterday. Yesterday, we just combined like terms, whatever. Today, we have to go through the whole process of multiplication like we used to do back when, you remember when it was like, do you remember, like, I don't call it FOIL with you guys much, but anyone ever call it FOIL, first, outer, inner, last? Have you ever heard that before? So when we multiply binomials together, it's a 4-step process where you have to basically multiply everybody by everybody else. So this is bigger, definitely more worky than the other stuff. So let me color code this and illustrate for you what I mean. So when someone lays out a multiplication problem like this, you have to multiply everyone in the first set by everyone in the second set. That's what it all boils down to. So we're going to take the 3, and we're going to multiply it first by the 2. And what is 3 times 2? It is. And so I'm going to color code my answers will match my connectors. Good. But then the 3 also says I also need to multiply by the other guy over there. I haven't gotten to him yet. And 3 times 3i is what? 9i. So I'm going to put plus 9i. Very good. You've done this before, by the way. If you're at all confused right now, you've literally done this. I can say this hundreds of times. We used to do it like this, like x plus 4 times 2x minus 5. You've done this so many times. You've done it forwards, you've done it backwards, where you go x times x is like 2x squared minus 5x. Well, you've done this before. We're just doing it with I instead of x. So let's head on. I'll switch colors now. And now it's this guy's turn, -4i. And he's going to go through now and multiply here. What does that make? Yep, very good. And then we have to take, and I'll use my last color, and that's yellow. And that's the exciting one. And so that's going to be -4i times 3i is what? Good job, Brooklyn. It's exactly -12i squared. So at this point, it feels just like a regular algebra problem. Like I'm just going to combine the terms in the middle. I think it's obvious those are like terms. So if I were right now to just proceed and finish, I would say, okay, I got 6 in the front. He's got no one to go with yet. And the 9i, the blue one and the green one, make what? Yeah, just plus 1i, right? 9 minus 8 is 1. And then at the back, I've got my minus 12i squared. And this would be a typical sort of, well, easy. But then we have to make the acknowledgement that we're not done. And the reason is because this fact right here comes into play. And we talked about this about 3 minutes ago. What is I squared again? It is. And so if I'm aware of that fact, then I realize now that what this really is 6 plus I minus 12 times negative 1. The I squared goes poof. It switches into something real, that real thing being negative 1. And then you realize, oh, wow, look, I just made a new real number. And so now what I'm looking at, and they won't always take this long, now I'm looking at 6 plus I plus 12. Cool. And now the 6, the real part of my complex number, my complex answer at the front, the 6 now has a partner. And the 6 and the 12 come together for a final answer of 18 plus I. That go okay? Let's practice again. Let's do 10 minus 6i times 2 minus 5i. Would you like a moment to try it on your own? Give it a shot. Did you get it, Maddie? What do you think it is?
Well, I just got.
Oh, when you guys think you're done, I will take your answers and I'll write them on the board. Did you get, Bryn? Negative 10 minus 62i. Awesome. Good. If you didn't get that, I'd love to hear what you got. I don't even know. I'm not even looking. I don't even want to know what the answer is. So I'll take whatever you've got. Doesn't matter. Same thing. Did you get that too, Sienna? If enough of you start getting it, I don't. It's a good sign, right? So let's walk through the steps. That's a good sign that you got that pretty quickly. I'm really happy. So when I multiply, I'm not going to color code it this time. When I do my first ones, I get 10 times 2 is 20. When I do my outside ones, I should get minus 50 i's. When I do my inside ones, I get minus 12 i's. Now, the back ones are the exciting ones, and so that's plus 30 with an I squared attached to it. And it won't take long in today's assignment before you get to the point where you, quite frankly, won't even write that down. You just start to understand that, yeah, I got a plus 30, but I squared becomes the guy that we know as the sign switcher. He looks at that real quick and says, well, if you were going to have a plus 30, I'm here to actually tell you it's a minus 30. And that happens pretty quick. So we realize right now that this I squared can be swapped out with a negative 1. And that 30 times negative 1 is actually net result negative 30. And then when we combine our like terms, the 20 and the minus 30, they're now partners. They make a negative 10, and then the 2 in the middle make negative 62i. So clearly you got that concept pretty quick. Do you have any issues or questions so far? Okay. The other part of this, I think, in theory, should be simpler. Wasn't sure how long that would take. I'm impressed. So that we'll also see problems that don't look like a full standard complex times a full standard complex. You might also see instances where you have something like this. So what we have here is a pure imaginary multiplied by a standard complex number. It might look different, but really, if you're the kind of person that doesn't panic easy, you realize this ought to be easier, huh? So give it a whirl, see what you get. Always make sure your answers are written in A plus BI form. You learned that yesterday. Brady, what'd you get, bud? 6 plus 12i. Okay. Any other answers? So as I distribute through, 3i times 4 is 12i. And then 3i times negative 2i. And you might already be at the point sitting in my class now where you're like, I don't need to show what's about to happen. You already know it's going to be negative 6, right? But it's got an I squared with it. So the negative 6 is actually a plus 6. And then the only thing left to do is just take these guys and go, whoop, give them the old switcheroo. And that's that. Good. Do you have any questions about that? I don't know that you're going to see any of these pure imaginary things in Delta. I honestly didn't click through like 40 of them, so I don't know. I think most of what you're going to see today is going to be the A plus BI times A plus BI. ¿Preguntas? ¿Entienden? 100%? Bueno. All right. Good job. All right. It's work day after this. That was quick and easy. Good job. Good job. Good job.